Hello, hello, and welcome back to What We Pod in the Shadows, where we are currently discussing Season 4 of What We Do in the Shadows. I'm Raven, my pronouns are they, them.
And I'm Alison, and my pronouns are she, her.
This week we are discussing the Season 4 finale, which is called Sunrise, Sunset. Before we get into discussing the episode, it would be super helpful for us if you could maybe leave us a comment or a review. It would help us get out there to more listeners. If people saw, like, hey, this has so many stars, or maybe, just like commenting on something, maybe the algorithm will see people interacting with it and go, more people should see this and listen to it. And yeah, it would just overall be super helpful to the pod.
And if you want to hear more from us, we have another podcast, Mojo Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, where we're alternating discussing seasons of the Powerpuff Girls and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So we're currently on season 4 of the classic Powerpuff Girls. But if you want to see or listen to us discussing a different genre of TV, check us out over there.
Sometimes we even talk about vampires in that podcast. Oh.
Okay, this is season 4, episode 10, Sunrise, Sunset. And I realized, I'm like, this is a famous song. So it's from Fiddler on the Roof, which is a 1964 Broadway musical. And obviously I've heard of it before, but it's just sort of funny that Laszlo's trying to, get that out of Colin, the Broadway, the musicals, and then he kept singing that song.
He's like, I hate all musicals except for Fiddler on the Roof.
Except old-timey ones. I mean, him and Naja are occasionally will sing and stuff, so I just didn't really understand that part, and they seem to like theater to a certain extent, so that part didn't really make sense.
Yeah, I didn't get that either.
I could see if they didn't understand the whole YouTube and even the Lego stuff to a certain extent, but the musical shit and even them he was making them money singing and dancing.
Yeah.
And still Laszlo's but ew, musicals. Okay.
Yeah, that didn't really make any sense.
Alright, Colin is miserable, but Laszlo is at a loss on what to do. He misses the young, happy Colin. Guillermo tries to teach him things. Laszlo says he only seems to find enjoyment in hammering holes in the wall in the basement of his old room. Laszlo says he'd stop him, but it seems to be a healthy outlet for his anger. Laszlo sings Sunrise, Sunset, which shows a montage of interactions with small Colin, and then moves into the intro, which has added pictures of small Colin. Naja and the guide discussed the nightclub going to hell without baby Colin. They had tried different acts like a vampire rap battle, but they were too competitive, and a human improv group, but vamps don't understand improv. They even tried showcasing Laszlo's new songs.
Yeah, I think Laszlo's new music might have gone over better if it wasn't just like, I'm Laszlo and I'm the greatest and the audience sucks. Which is pretty much what his lyrics are. So it's now they mainly host bachelorette parties and kids' birthday parties, and I guess they tried to do a haunted house, but people thought the special effects, quote unquote, were cheap and janky.
It was literally the sire that they thought was a bad costume or whatever.
I was root to the sire.
He's cute.
Yeah, he's just a little guy. Guillermo and Laszlo bemoan baby Colin's new angsty phase, and Nandor decides the best way to reach baby Colin is to talk to him in young people slang. Nandor tries to convince him that the best way to rock out is to be nice and polite and respectful of his elders, which Colin sarcastically dismisses, but Nandor doesn't get that and thinks he's found a win. At the nightclub, the guide somehow has brought P.T. Barnum back to life, and Nadja demands to know how when baby Colin comes in and awkwardly gives the guide a mixtape. The guide has no idea how to operate a CD player, however. After Colin leaves, Nadja has the guide reveal that she's been using forbidden knowledge to summon the dead. Nadja is disgusted at first because she's using witchcraft, but then she's like, wait, you can bring back anyone? The guide's like, yes, you have to own their souls, but yeah. And shows Nadja her giant collection of souls, which is apparently the second largest collection of human souls in the US. The guide stirs the souls into a cauldron and says that they only last for 24 hours before turning back into the ingredients used to conjure them. And then, much to Nadja's delight, out pops Scott Joplin, who is the king of ragtime.
Back at home, they confront Colin about stealing Sean's car. Colin is upset they can't answer any of the questions he has about themselves. Why did I say themselves? Himself?
Yeah, I think he was upset.
Okay, Colin is upset they can't answer any of the questions he has about himself. I forget what questions he did ask, but I mean, it did kind of I could see that, like, where did I come from, and how come I grew so fast overnight, and all that stuff. Sean suggests Laszlo and Colin duke it out. Colin abruptly apologizes and offers to help Sean get his car out of a creek when Guillermo realizes he is feeding on their reaction. So Laszlo realizes he has to tell Colin that he is an energy vampire. Nadja says the reanimated souls will bring in a crowd to the nightclub. Nadja, however, does no homework on the famous guests and has no idea what Tchaikovsky is saying in Russian or what Murasaki Shikibu who wrote Tales of Genji is saying in Japanese, or what Da Vinci is saying in Italian. So, I don't know. I'm not sure why she thought, like, from all the other things that they tried, that this was going to be a draw.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who... I'm sure there would be some people in history that the vampires might have been interested in.
Yeah, I'm sure there's, like, some famous party people or something. She's just like, here are the great minds of their time.
Yeah, it's like at a nightclub?
Yeah.
But I don't know. They just don't. I mean, the jazz guy was kind of going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And the vampires are probably all from like different time frames, so like they may only be interested in like maybe the area where they were alive, like that section of history, and maybe don't even know like other famous people, because like we've seen our vampires, they kind of just stagnate in their house. Like, I mean, I think they get interested in certain people on TV, but other than that, they're not like to current events. And I know these are past people, but it's just like, I mean, I think Laszlo had shown some famous people that he knew, and not just like knew the Rat Pack or whatever, but
yeah, and then of course there was Vampire Elvis. But that was about Vampire Elvis is probably about the newest person.
I know he's like with the Simon, the Devious, but that might have been someone good to have come and perform.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just like clueless why they can't come up with these ideas. Like I don't know.
Laszlo breaks the news to Colin that Colin is an energy vampire, and he's so irritated that no one did anything to stop him from becoming an energy vampire that he purposefully mentions God and baby Jesus to cause harm to Laszlo, because like they can't like even like hear that without like it like hurting or something.
Yeah, it like burns them or something.
Yeah, there was at one point too, it might have been in this episode, where Laszlo was reading, "Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret." He crossed out God with like Sharpie.
I guess I didn't see that.
Yeah. Guillermo feels like a hamster on a wheel because although a lot has happened to this season, everything is returning to the status quo. Guillermo checks on Nandor, but he just wants to be alone to read for 15 or 20 years. Guillermo hates how everything keeps happening the same, but Nandor seems to find it comforting. Baby Colin listens to death metal as he smashes more holes in the basement. The guide says that they've essentially made the history talks with their dead guests into a podcast and no longer need a live audience, and that they even make money on ad revenue. And for example, they have Gandhi read Blue Apron advertisements. Their listenership has only netted them 0.6 cents, however, all for making Guillermo listen 11 times to the episodes. Nadja says the world simply isn't ready for electronic audio stories or vampire nightclubs. She sends the guide to stay at her house and has the Wraiths go to vacation in Orlando and tells the documentary crew to fuck off.
Colin finds a metal box in one of the holes in the wall, and it contains a slide, like that you would look at in a slide projector. Nadja tells everyone to get out and pours gasoline everywhere and sets the club ablaze. Colin shines the slide in his room, and it shows 3 targets on the walls. He hammers them, and it opens a door to a room with a desk and files and a wardrobe of beige clothing. Colin sits down and starts to read from what looks like handwritten diaries and notebooks.
So later, the Nadja and the guide go back to the club, but nothing actually got burned because the blood sprinklers finally started working. The place is a soggy mess, but only Nadja's office has been burned. Nadja doesn't know what insurance is when she talks to the firefighters. The guide goes to show them the floor plan, firefighters, and then Nadja goes to find her money stash in her office, but it all got torched, and she weeps over the burnt faces on the money. Colin studies his journals all night and ends up rubbing off all his hair and finding his old glasses in the drawer of the desk he's reading at. Guillermo explains to Nadja that you buy insurance before something bad happens, when adult baby Colin appears looking exactly the way he had before he died. He tries to feed on them by being boring as he explains he used his journals to remember his past. He knows how much money they have in the bank and even remembers the PIN number, which I think was like 69, 420, 24/7 or something like that. I might have mixed up the order of the numbers, but of course he picked those. He agrees to help fix the house with contractors because he loves micromanaging projects. He remembers everything, except for his childhood with Laszlo. That entire year, up until reading his journals, is a blank.
So he told them they had like $600,000 in the bank. Okay, so him not remembering anything like saddens Laszlo. Guillermo packs up because nothing ever changes. He tracks down Derek at a convenience store with a bag full of money and tells Derek he will earn the money by turning him into a vampire. Sunrise Sunset plays with Nadja and Colin also singing it with Laszlo. I don't know that I would trust Derek to do anything that important. Because he's just doing really dumb shit earlier. Like, weren't they gonna kill him because he couldn't do basic vampire stuff and keep stuff hidden?
Yeah, I think they also hated his tacky Hot Topic clothes. What's another reason?
Well, it was like, yeah, like he was kind of like a cliche, a vampire cliche. The stuff he was wearing, but he didn't know any better.
Yeah, he's such a new vampire, but like I guess it's kind of like the only one Guillermo knows who isn't kind of like enmeshed with the vampire community at large.
Maybe Guillermo knows how to do it. And if people think I'm stupid, it's because like we watched these episodes a while ago and probably only once. So I don't remember what happened like for some of this stuff. Like as far as season 5, I don't know. I know some of it, but I couldn't tell you any major details. So like this was kind of sad, like because like baby Colin just growing up, like he was growing fast anyway, but it was just like overnight he went from, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 years old to like a teenager, and then he was just like mad at everyone, and then that he went back to his old, like 40-year-old Colin self and forgot everything because like, I mean, Laszlo really did raise him, and
Yeah.
so it's like sad. Maybe
Yeah.
one of the few times I'm like taking Laszlo's side or feeling sad for Laszlo.
Yeah, same.
He was kind of sentimental about it. Like even at the end with the contractors, I think it was like a race car bed.
Yes.
Colin's little race car bed was like, I don't know, downstairs in one of those, maybe the library or something. And he's just like, let's just get rid of this. And Laszlo was kind of stunned, like, but that was your bed. He just didn't remember any of it.
Yeah.
Well, Laszlo did try to do his best to make him interesting so he wasn't an energy vampire. I just don't think they really knew much about them, and like I don't know how you would stop it anyway.
Yeah.
Like I just think it's part of his obviously it was like part of his DNA or something. It was like just kind of like unstoppable. Maybe they could have seen like one of those. Who was the one guy that brought back the I See Dead People guy?
I can't remember his character's name right now, but it was the Benedict Wong guy. I can just think of his real name.
Yeah, like maybe they could see somebody like Benedict Wong or someone like him or go to the night market. Like what potion can we give our baby energy vampire so he doesn't progress into an adult energy vampire?
Or even just to have something so that he remembers all of that.
I mean, well, I guess the camera crew was there, so they could, in theory, replay all of that for him. But other than that,
yeah, I think he genuinely doesn't remember. At one point, I was kind of hoping, like, oh, maybe he's just saying he doesn't remember all that, but like, no, he definitely doesn't.
And I don't know that I kind of wish they would have had us like at least read like a paragraph from his diaries. Like, is it just what happened to him every day? Like all the boring stuff? Like how was he able to kind of like bring himself back just with that? Because I mean, if someone had amnesia and they just read their own diary, I don't think that would bring everything back.
Probably not, no.
And then I don't know, the club. I mean, I guess the club does still exist, just not her office. But I don't think Magic continues with it. But they maybe should have had some sort of plan. Because even when she started it, I'm not sure it did well until they brought out Baby Colin, right? So I don't like you can open a club, but like Simon had a club, right? So what made that so hot? Like why was that like she should have or like maybe went around the world? Like what are other places doing? I mean not to like completely copy, but just sort of for some ideas.
Yeah. I just don't think she put enough like thought into what running a nightclub would mean. And maybe she doesn't like understand what like is trendy to modern vampires or whatever. Other than of course Baby Colin.
And I know they kind of have like the Baron off somewhere, but it might have been like that might have been something cool to like have him kind of show up every night and people could like kiss the ring or whatever. Like, ooh, I was in the same room with the Baron, or I don't know. Bringing in the rappers, I think was fine. I mean, I guess I could see that it kind of looked like they were trying to kill each other, though.
Yeah.
But
their egos were just too sensitive.
Just some different entertainers, but just not together, I guess.
Yeah, just not like just regular rapping, not like a rap battle.
I just think even just like their parties that they would have at the house were largely not a hit. So you kind of had to again, like you said, like what's hot and happening. Although, with them, they always revert to their old thing. So I don't know. It seems like it would almost be timeless, like what they're into. Like,
yeah,
it seems like a nightclub would work. I just don't know why she couldn't pull that out. Like people they didn't want to hang out and socialize.
I feel like she hinged too much on the damn blood sprinkler. She's like, that's gonna be the big draw. And then they didn't work. Like, nice.
I mean, she could have just had like a DJ and playing like club music and maybe I know Guillermo didn't like procuring victims, but maybe hire someone to bring in victims or something. I don't know.
Something.
Guess it's not up to me to make that up. I find it interesting that the haunted house seemed like a good idea, but
Yeah.
I feel like people just really want to do that in October.
Yeah.
But that they were kind of successful at bachelorette and birthday parties, I find that hard to believe.
Yeah.
I could see the girls being trashed enough at the bachelorette parties that they could be a success, but I feel like kids' birthday parties are pretty like touchy.
Yes. I agree.
To try to pull off. And although I have written, Colin ruins them by being whiny and tattling on the kids.
Yeah.
So, like, Colin didn't seem to, when he was, he hit his 100th birthday, when at the time that it was happening, he didn't seem to realize that he was going to die and come back. But somehow he had this whole secret room with all his diaries, this whole wardrobe,
Yeah.
and then clues to, open that room. But he didn't seem to realize that at the time what was going on. But he knew how to bring himself back and leave clues.
Yeah. It was a cool reveal, but I'm not sure we kind of have enough like steps to how we got there.
Maybe it would have been good if he was kind of being like secretive about stuff like that last year
Yeah.
or something. Like, oh, I'm 99. And then he's just like sneaking off all the time. Although they probably wouldn't have noticed or cared.
Probably not.
And yeah, I'm not sure what people they should have brought back for the vampires to be interested in. It might have almost been better. I know it depended on what souls the guide had, but did she have any vampire souls? Some like famous, like if they brought Dracula or something, or just people that were famous as vampires at some point who had been killed or died or
Yeah. If it's anything like Buffy, though, like, I'm not sure vampires still have their souls, so that might.
okay, maybe, yeah.
I don't know if it has any of the same lore.
I know the bodies turn to dust, so it may not be where there's anything to procure to bring them back with.
Yeah.
But to me, it seems like kind of like people like Guillermo, not Guillermo, like Nandor, like Genghis Khan, like not scholarly famous people, but like just like not just like conquerors, but people who were like I don't know, like somebody like Janis Joplin, like in this more modern era, like that were like big kind of like party people or were like making a big impact on the world somehow. But like not somebody that wrote a famous book or like made inventions or whatever. I just don't feel like they would be interested in that.
Yeah, and there's not the vampires like on here. They just seem like they wouldn't care.
I don't know why I can't think of an example of like who would be a good person to bring back. I don't know, like maybe like King Tut or something. They needed to be a little more unusual.
Yeah.
But again, for the nightclub, I feel like this is like their worst idea yet. Because how is that? When I think nightclub, I think partying,
Yes.
dancing, drinking.
I'm like, surely there's some sort of vampire DJ. Like,
and maybe you're like schmoozing with people that you want to schmooze with.
Yeah.
Maybe even just famous vampires from around the world if she could get them to come in and pop in and sign autographs. I don't know. I guess, but then I don't know what vampires are into. They seem to have like a whole other agenda.
Yeah. Also don't know if like Naja has like the pull to like bring in like famous vampires or not. Just gonna be like people who are like within the tri-state area.
Yeah, they may not have had like the money to like, oh, we'll pay you $5,000 to make an appearance or something.
Yeah.
Because she was kind of stealing money from the club or hiding the money, and then Guillermo was too. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure how much money they would have parted with to bring in guests. They should have had, I know, like Paris Hilton DJs. That might have been fun if they'd had like, here's Idris Elba, because I know he does it too.
Yeah.
And like, here's Paris Hilton DJing, because they did have a couple human people that came in.
Right. Or they could just get like some, I don't know, like some human goth bands who would just think, oh, this is just like a goth club where they really go all in or something. And they just wouldn't tell them that they're really dangerous.
Yeah, like they could like really rock out.
Yeah.
They would have to protect the musicians, but yeah. People were just completely not even caring about Marwa. It was just kind of, I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed in him there. And he's just going to go to reading?
It's the only thing he could think of to do.
No, like he could try. I know he already did sort of travel the world. He really just wanted to go back to his homeland, but he could travel because everything's different now than when he was alive, and like maybe he might find someone just from his travels. And I don't really remember Guillermo wanting to leave, so I am kind of like, good on you, Guillermo, for like, this is shit. They just keep going back to doing the same crap as before. He said he felt like an empty nester because there's no Marwa, and then Colin grew up. There wasn't really anything other than just clean, the same cleaning and crap that he always did. Yeah. And then if Nandor's just going to read in that room for 10 or 15 years, like, what is there for him?
I'm slightly curious as to what he reads. Like, what genre is he into? Is he reading, like, historical shit? Is he, like, getting into, like, some old man, like, mystery books? Like, what?
Yeah, I'm not sure. And then I think we mentioned like the second group that they brought back the souls they brought to life. You had said Gandhi, but there was also Hemingway, and then it was Che Guevara. I did recognize like what he looked like, but I think they did say Hemingway.
Yeah, because she was like, Hemingway, I wanted you to read this ad instead.
Yeah, I don't know how she got talked into like the podcast thing, but again, I think maybe it would have worked with famous vampires, but like you said, maybe you can't bring the souls back. But I also don't know what that has to do with the nightclub. That could have been like a side gig podcast, but
indeed.
And then the thing with the mixed CD, it was like Colin had a crush on the guy.
Yeah.
It was very awkward. I don't think she totally understood. She's like, well, once I figure out how to play it.
Yeah.
So I guess it's good the house will be finally fixed up. Although, with Colin involved, it could take a very, very, very long time because he will be boring them to death with his micromanagement.
Gonna drive those construction workers mad.
And then if Guillermo is turned into a vampire, like, where does he live? And like what occurs like in the vampire house without him. Again, I don't totally remember. I know he gets turned into a vampire, but I don't remember what happens.
Yeah.
I didn't even remember that it was like Derek that did it or whatever. I don't know why. I can't remember anything.
I remember some of the larger details, but like some of the minutia and stuff, I couldn't tell you. I don't totally remember what all occurs this next season.
It wasn't pretty. I mean, a lot happened, but I feel like it was pretty satisfying because sometimes I'm just upset with them or whatever.
Yeah.
I know, like, Naja is trying her best, I think, but again, they didn't really plan for that nightclub well at all. Mm-hmm. And I think what happened with Colin, I don't think they could have stopped it either. It was like somehow his little soul or whatever just like remembered and knew how to locate the information that would bring him back. I don't think there was anything they could do to stop it.
Yeah, no, I don't think
And
it was.
and I do like Guillermo, like, well, fuck this shit. I'm I'm gonna take matters into my own hands, even if it does turn out to be a bad idea. Because I feel like I understand what you're saying. He went to Derek because he didn't think anyone else would agree to it.
Yeah.
But also Derek is like still an infant in as far as him being a vampire.
Right.
The short period of time he's been a vampire and doesn't know very much.
It's like I've been a vampire for 2 years or something.
It's not the greatest idea, but
yeah.
But Guillermo has some knowledge, so we will hope for the best. So I thought it was a pretty decent end of season 4.
Yeah.
Episode.
I was thinking with like kind of the end where, Colin doesn't remember, Laszlo raising himself. I'm like, that would make for such good angsty fan fiction. It's like maybe they're like, oh, eventually it does remember. Or something. I don't know. I've never actually perused any fan fiction for this.
Well, again, like I said, the crew kind of documented all of that. I don't know if like Laszlo ever kept any sort of diary, but yeah, it's kind of sad that because it seemed like Colin yearns for human interaction, like we see at some points, because people avoid him because of the energy vampire thing.
Right.
But sometimes he does just want to talk about his day, and then they don't want to listen because they think he's going to go into that boring spiel to suck their energy. So it's like they just didn't pay attention to him anymore because they didn't want to be like bored and to sleep. So like to kind of have Laszlo as a very flawed father figure. He might have kind of enjoyed that in a way.
Yeah, I might cut this out, but there's a later episode where he's talking to someone else who is a dad, Colin is, and he's like, I don't remember my parents or whatever, and then they kind of just like cut to Laszlo and he's just like sad.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just wondering how many times Colin has. I mean, I know it's like every 100 years or whatever. Like he brought his grandma back, and she didn't seem like she was like from the 1800s or something.
Yeah.
With that one seance, the episode where they were kind of doing seances. But I mean, I wonder how many times has he come back? Like it's like every 100 years, and
indeed.
Like how old is he really?
Yeah. I want more energy vampire lore, damn it.
Yeah, that other chick, we didn't really learn a whole lot about her, or like is there a community?
Yeah.
We didn't learn too much. They probably are more solitary creatures. I don't know if they could live together in a house. They'd probably be competing with each other in a way, or
yeah.
I'm not sure.
I would just love for someone to like expand on the concept a little bit more and give us some more lore about them. But yeah, I don't know that will happen, but maybe sometime in the future someone will like take the concept and do something else with it. Yeah, maybe not like, obviously you won't know when to be the exact same way it is on the show, but
yeah. I mean, there's lots of vampire movies and shows, or like werewolf stuff, or mummy things, or whatever. But yeah, maybe somebody else will do a show or a movie.
Yes.
Just about energy vampires or something.
Indeed.
Maybe there's a book. There could already be a book.
Or I haven't played Vampire the Masquerade, but I've played like a visual novel for it, and they have like these different like vampire like clans, and they kind of have different like traits based on who like turned them and stuff. So I'm like, they could add an energy vampire one. That would be fun.
It's kind of like a sneaky secret weapon where you could just make people fall asleep if you needed to.
yeah.
Or potentially kill someone, I suppose, if they couldn't ever move.
Yeah. Well, did like take them out that one episode where he was like super powerful with.
Yeah, because probably if they couldn't move to go get a meal, eventually they would dry up and die.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm going to end things here. Thank you so much for listening. Next time, we're going to be talking about the season 5 premiere, which is called The Mall. So, get ready to see them do some shenanigans at the mall, I guess.
Okay, because I have no idea what happened.
I remember exactly one scene from that episode. So we'll be discussing that next time. In the meantime, if you haven't already, it would be super cool if you could follow or subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. And leave us comments and or reviews. It would be super helpful for us to get some feedback, and it might help with the algorithm, and it might, push us out there to more folks. We might even read your review on the show.
Smash all those buttons for us, share with your friends, and don't forget to also check us out on Mojo Jojo's Bizarre Adventure.
So until next time, you're dead and out of this world. Goodbye.
Goodbye.